Believe only half of what you see and nothing you hear. It's a good line. It's an excellent line. Old line, good line though. I don't believe it, by the way. I think it's probably a little pointer towards maybe being a little bit sceptical about everything that you hear. But I certainly find it to be a useful saying in West Ham terms, particularly when you're doing this sort of Hammers Chat type stuff, because there's always somebody wanting to pass you on information. And as Gio would tell you, or anybody else that does this sort of thing would tell you, if you try and pass on everything that you're told, you're going to end up passing on a load of rubbish information, because not everything that you're told's going to be accurate. But sometimes with the passing of time, you start to think, hold on a second, maybe, just maybe, that thing I was told all that time ago might have been the truth. I'm speaking in riddles. Let me tell you what I heard. Last season, when I say last season, start of last season, I was told that David Moyes never wanted Thilo Kehrer, that it was an emergency signing, and I was told this by somebody, let's say with close connections to the club, that he didn't want him, that West Ham was sort of broadsided a little bit and surprised by the fact that Issa Diop not only requested to leave West Ham, he demanded it. He demanded to leave. At the same time, West Ham were aware during the I'm talking about the summer window here, were aware that Dawson wanted to leave. And he wanted to leave to go back up north, up the Midlands, wherever it was, where his family were. There was something going on at home, which I don't know, I don't want to know. Personal family business, nothing to do with us. So West Ham had this sort of hurried search to find a centre-back. And that's what happened. And then we ended up with Thilo Kehrer, basically. But this was not a player that David Moyes ever wanted. And I was told this. David Moyes said no. He's too small. David Moyes wanted a bigger, more robust. He wanted a chunky-ass centre-back, basically. He wanted an oil tanker. And what he got was a whippet. And he never wanted him, basically. So that's all I was told. I didn't believe it. I thought, this is mischief making. There was a lot of stuff doing the rounds, and there's always somebody looking to undermine somebody at the club. Now, it could be David Moyes sometimes. Sometimes people want to undermine David Sullivan, and one of the best ways to do it is with transfers. So when a crap transfer happens, you blame it on the person you don't like. When a good one happens, you attribute it to the person that you do like. And so I sort of dismissed it. And the more I look at it, the more I sort of think, well, maybe, just maybe, there was some truth in that. And all I can say is, with this Thilo Kehrer incident, and with what's transpired, be it sort of 18 months later, I hope we've seen the last of this stuff. And when I say the last of this stuff, it's buying players that are just not going to get used. I think there's a lot of them, and the lines are blurred with these players. I don't always think it's easy to know who they are. We've had our suspicions before. So, for instance, many of us for a long time thought Saïd Benrahma wasn't the choice of David Moyes. So the old story was that David Moyes really wanted Abir Eze from QPR. Didn't get him because we couldn't sell Grady Diangana quickly enough. By the time we got the money for Diangana from West Brom, Eze had already decided to join Crystal Palace. So we needed somebody else who could sort of play in that sort of position. Because someone that could operate off the left wing and could also be sort of someone that could play creatively centrally. The suspicion is that we went and bought Saïd Benrahma, but it was not David Moyes' choice. And I think when you look at what happened thereafter, it sort of plays into that, and that's very, very believable. The other story, the most recent one, I guess, is Danny Ings, which is Danny Ings was bought last year as a gift. A gift to David. I've heard it from so many people. A gift to David Moyes. And, you know, sometimes you give someone a gift that they don't want and they're not going to use. And I think this is very much part of that. I'm not referring to anyone that got me anything for Christmas, by the way. They're all wonderful, wonderful gifts. But I hope this has ended. I don't like this. I don't like the way this happens at West Ham. Just to go back on Thilo Kehrer there, he got into the team as a centre-back. Then once things started to settle down, so you've got to remember, Nyfegurd got an injury that nobody ruled him out for the start of that season. As far as David Moyes was going to be concerned, he was going into that season with a load of centre-backs, Diop and Dawson, and honestly, a Gerd, loads and loads of centre-backs. In the end, he found himself, because of a Gerd's injury, because of Diop, because of Dawson, he found himself in a situation he didn't really want to be in. He takes a long time to do transfers, David Moyes. The club bestowed a player upon him, that's Thilo Kehrer. He played him at centre-back. Kehrer played really well, and that's that, really. The next time he was really utilised in the team, it was at right back, and he was crap, quite frankly, a crap right back. Now, Thilo Kehrer would have known what he was doing. I don't feel too sorry for the player, because he would have known he was coming in as a stopgap. He would have been paid really, really well. But at the time when he joined up, he had been the most used player under Germany's new manager at that time. Obviously, that all changed over a period of time. But look, Kehrer came in at West Ham. He got paid good wages. He won a trophy, and now he's out. And it sort of plays into the video that I was saying last night, which is when I looked at that bench, albeit I wasn't talking about it defensively. When I looked at that bench, there weren't players that I felt David Moyes wanted to utilise. In last night's video, I called them substitutes. Misfiring subs. When I say substitutes, what I really meant was squad players. David Moyes, there's a lot of people in that squad David Moyes doesn't want to use. And if we assume that we're right on those three players, Thilo Kehrer, Danny Ings and Said Benrahma, that's a fair old portion of the bench that David Moyes did not choose. So he's going to be reluctant to use them. I don't know what happened to Maxwell Cornet. I don't know. There was that rumour that we were after that Keane Lewis Potter, if you remember, couldn't get him, so we signed Maxwell Cornet. You can get too heavy into this stuff and it becomes a bit of a conspiracy theory, really, doesn't it? And I don't know how much truth there is in it. But anyway, as you'll know by now, Fabrizio Romano, in fact, I've got his tweet up here, actually, I pulled it ready for the video. AS Monaco and West Ham are finalising a deal for Thilo Kehrer. It will be a loan deal with a mandatory buy option clause in case of specific targets. Understand, AS Monaco will pay €500,000, €500,000 as a loan fee. There are still details to clarify in order to get the deal done and sealed soon. Still, there's a couple of things on that. Okay, what are these options going to be? He's going to have to play a set number of games. If he does that, then I guess Monaco make the deal permanently, and that's that. See what else it tells us, though, the speed in which it's done. So this thing is near enough wrapped up on the 2nd of January. So this has been in the offing for quite some time, trying to look to get rid of this player. And that part of it I consider to be a good thing. I think this is something we've done incredibly wrong over our time. We seem to wait until the transfer window is upon us and then we're surprised. This appears to have planning, this appears to have strategy. We have a player that the manager never really wanted, a player who has not featured. And there's been times this season, and I think certainly times last season, when we could have done with a player like him. But it helps you understand, that goes back to that original thing that I was told all this time ago, 18 months ago. David Moyes doesn't want Thilo Kehrer. He doesn't think he's big enough to be a centre-back in his team. Sort of says enough, really, doesn't it? You know, he wants an aerial threat. You can understand that. And then when you start looking at Mavropanos, even though Mavropanos was clearly bought by Tim Steidten from the Bundesliga, you do get the impression that maybe Tim Steidten's listened to David Moyes, and when he said, look, I need a big, burly, robust defender, well, there you go, I've gone and got you one. Maybe it's the same with Mohamed Kudus. Maybe David Moyes wanted someone that was not only good enough and could score goals, but would get back and help Vladimir Sufal. That's another story, by the way. And so just maybe we have a director of football who's listening to what the manager wants. And if that's the case, and if we assume that David Moyes is going to sign a new deal, then this is a far healthier thing now. I think it's a little bit of a shame for Thilo Kehrer. He's been really, really well paid. He's going to go off now. He's going to go to Monaco. They know what they're getting. I'm pretty sure he's going to do his due diligence and know that he's signing for a club who rate him highly. But I really hope everybody that comes in from West Ham from now on, no more gifts, no more players the manager is not going to use. Because at the end, everyone suffers. The players suffer, but then West Ham suffer. And we see that. We see that when we look upon that bench and there's just players there, and David Moyes does not want to make any substitutions at all. Let's give him a bench worthy of the name. Give him players that he wants to bring on, and maybe some tough decisions. So he's looking at a player and actually he can't quite decide which one's best. I think we might be having it at the moment, by the way, with Mavropanos. I think Mavropanos is creating a situation for David Moyes where he may not know what his best choice defensive partnership is. I may well be completely wrong on that. He certainly had it with Mohamed Kudus and Jarrod Bowen to such a point where he's probably thought, oh, hold on, I need to do something. I want to get both of these players in the team. He wants to do it. And this is really important. But I've got nothing bad to say about Thilo Kehrer. I think he's a decent player. I think he was the he was the right player at the possibly at the right club, but maybe at the wrong time. Maybe the right player at the wrong club at the wrong time. Possibly that. I don't know. You're probably not the right player. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, that's it. That's the news. Fabrizio Romano said it. It's getting done. It'll be done over the next couple of days. Let's hope we're as quick bringing somebody in as we've been to get rid of someone.